Do you find yourself running out of time to accomplish your work? Are you spending time doing things that you're not that good at? There are effective ways to outsource these tasks so you can focus on your business. This is the Virtual Success Show. We bring the inside scoop on outsourcing success for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Malouf and Barbara Turley.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Virtual Success Show, where I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Malouf. How's it going, Matt?
It's going well, Barb, and yourself?
Really good. I'm very excited about today's show to delve into part 2 of our 3-part series on the Stop Doing List book, which has just been a pivotal book for me to read recently. All the things I thought I knew lots about this, but I've just learned so many things from delving into your book again. So guys, the last show we did was part 1 of the Stop Doing List, where we talked about the mindset, and it's such a detailed show on the specific steps and the specific mindsets that you need to get into in order to actually stop doing. And then in today's show, we're going to talk about actually unpacking and creating your Stop Doing List, which one of the key questions we get at Virtual Angel Hub is, how do I know what to put on my list to give a VA? So it's a really big question we get asked, and I'm sure, Matt, you get asked this question all the time as well.
Absolutely. And also those that are wanting to grow their companies, this is the starting point. Everyone's looking for what I need to do. I need to do more. But unless you let go of some of these things first and utilize a virtual assistant or even, employing technology and the like to help you with this, it'll just burn you out.
Yeah, and you don't have the space and time to strategize and move forward. You actually need to free up your time effectively first. It's like the number one thing you need to do, I think, before you start trying to grow and scale. So now we did a show, a couple of shows back, we did a show that we delved into quite a lot of what this second part of the book talks about. So Matt, can you just run through, I think it was the show called Think You've Got Only 5 Hours to Delegate, Think Again. So it's a great show on how to figure out how much you're actually doing that you need to stop doing. So Matt, can you just give us kind of run through the key steps in this part of the book?
Absolutely. So this part of the book is really about you starting to understand where you're spending your time and then how to categorize those tasks to get clear on where you should be spending more time. And so the only way to start that process is to get absolutely clear on your hourly rate, getting clear on the value of your time. And so if you actually go to the stopdoing.com.au website, you can download the Ultimate Stop Doing List tool, and it actually steps you through this. But so what we recommend is that you do a time log for a minimum of 2 weeks to get clarity on where you're spending your time. You then calculate your hourly rate, so you've got a yardstick against which to measure where you should or shouldn't be spending your time. And then this section of the book talks about the getting into what we call your genius zone. And your genius zone are those tasks or activities that you love doing, you do really, really well, and have a positive financial return to you and the company. And it steps through and says, well, the more time you spend there, number one, the more you'll love your business. Number two, the more profitable your business will be. And number three, the more freedom you will have long term. And so section 2 of the book, or part 2 of the book, helps you start to understand what your genius is. And there's 4 levels there. There's the genius, the excellence, the competence, and the incompetence. And I won't go through it in detail. It's all in the book if you want to go through it. But what it then helps you do is it's all well and good to sit there and go, okay, well, here's a list of tasks, and here's what my time is worth. What do I do now? And then in the last show, we talked about the focus funnel. We talked about putting your tasks through the focus funnel, which is a methodology from Rory Vaden's book, Procrastinate on Purpose. And he talks about a task comes in and you ask yourself, can we eliminate this? Can we automate this? Or can we delegate this? And if it gets through those 3 layers, then the choice is, am I going to concentrate on it or am I going to procrastinate and do it later? And so in order to get clear on what you need to stop doing, you need to filter your tasks through the focus funnel. And then I think it gets really, really interesting because, again, I think that up to that point is fairly straightforward and very logical. But this is where I think a lot of stop doing falls over. And on the tool, we talk about and ask you the question, are there special skills required for the task? And I think, and Barb, you probably find this with assigning virtual assistants to people, is that people aren't clear on the special skills required. So that whole myth of the super VA comes back again. My VA can do everything, yet they don't necessarily have the special skills required to do the task that you're asking of them.
Yeah, and sometimes, it's very interesting. Sometimes people say to us, we highlight that in the interview process and, through the thing. And clients will say to us, oh, that's fine. Yeah, I know they're not trained in that. That's okay. I'll do some work with them. And then they come back a month later and complain bitterly that the VA is not able to execute on the thing that we just discussed. And we're like, that's because you need an expert. Like, you need a graphic designer. Okay, our VAs can do some Canva images for social media and all that stuff, but they can't design a brochure because that's actually a graphic designer job, or they can't build a website. That's another one we get quite a lot. I'm like, build a website on WordPress. Yeah, you could just get a template and sort of drag a few pieces in there, but you're not going to get a quality piece of work and if you're happy with that, that's fine. But you can't blame the VA for that, or us, because we didn't train on it, because we see that all the time. The other one I see a lot, Matt, actually, it's funny. I loved that you said, so your genius zone is the stuff that you love doing, you're very good at, and it has a good financial return for the company. Because what we see a lot of people doing is maybe they love doing social media, they are very good at it, but does it bring a financial return to the company if they're spending all their time just creating Canva images with tips and quotes on it? So this is this whole running back. We talked about the comfort zone in the last show, part 1 of the book. And I sometimes feel that's people saying, oh, well, my genius zone is X, but they're not considering the financial return piece. So just because you're good at it and you love to do it, you've got to ask yourself, though, is it a good use of your time from a business perspective?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Until you get your company to a point where, others can do the maybe the most positive financial returning tasks, and you can do whatever you choose to do. But really, until a company's probably turning over somewhere between $5 and $10 million a year, you can't afford the luxury of that often.
Yeah, you're working.
That's right. That's right.
So what I love about your tool is that it helps you to identify what is your genius zone, but also it helps you to identify, another question I get all the time is, how do I know what my hourly rate is? So your tool helps you to get to that realization of what your hourly rate is, and therefore what is the financial return of you spending your time on X, Y, or Z.
Absolutely.
Task, even if you love it. Yeah.
And what the tool will do too is, if a task if a task can be done for an hourly rate of 75% or less of your hourly rate, then it recommends that you stop doing that task, because the financial gain is not there. Your time is better spent in your genius zone doing tasks that return your hourly rate or above.
And I love that this ties us back to the mindset piece, because I can imagine so many people, and will avoid delegating that, even though they'll know that their hourly rate is higher, and they should, because that means that they then have to go out and sell more, or have to go out and actually see their own value. Because obviously, so I think that's the running back to the comfort zone thing again that we talked about in part 1 of this series. There's an up-leveling involved in saying, well, I'm not going to do this stuff anymore, and therefore what am I going to do with my time? Would you find that in your coaching?
All the time.
Yeah.
And it's people have the desire to either make more money or spend more time with their partner, their loved ones, etc. And then when you create that time for them, they're like, well, I don't really know what to do.
Yes.
I've not done that. So, and so it's actually really, really interesting.
Yeah,
What the
I can
tool,
imagine people would fall into that. And like I said, because it usually involves, like, you should be spending your time on scaling, growing, out doing marketing, sales, talking, whatever it is that you're the face of the business or whatever is going to be doing. But that can push you outside your comfort zone. So you got to go back to stage one again and think about, well, how far outside my comfort zone am I willing to go right now in order to
correct.
grow my business? Yes, there's like we've circled back to part one of this again.
Absolutely. And again, so as you step through as well, it calculates an opportunity cost. If you keep doing the task, it'll show you a per annum calculation of what you're actually losing or potential loss, as opposed to getting somebody else to do that task at a lower hourly rate. And this is this is to reiterate the investment versus cost mindset as well.
A client of ours did this exercise just separate from this. I just recall a conversation I had about a year ago, and he had calculated that he'd never actually done that exercise before, and then he got a VA through us, and he calculated that actually it was $274,000 per year that he was the opportunity cost of him running himself into the ground trying to do everything. Now, he had tried to get a VA before and it hadn't worked and failed, and he came to us and we taught him how to do it properly, and we got him a great person and put all the support systems in place, and his business just totally took off after he did this exercise, because it gave him the hunger. You see, he thought, oh my God, look at all this money I could be making if I actually get my act together, stop doing this stuff and get after the real stuff.
Absolutely.
So it transformed him completely, yeah. So it's well worth doing this.
And the tool will actually make that really, really clear to you. Really clear. So
yeah. So stopdoing.com.au is where you can download that tool. Is it in obviously the resources section of that website?
it is. Yes, it is. And it's very simple and straightforward.
And it's free. Sorry, it's free. We should tell
it's
everyone.
free. That's right.
It's totally
exactly
free.
right.
Yeah.
And the book steps you through the theory behind it as well.
Yeah, and we'll actually have a link. There's a link below this show to the site where you can actually download that. And obviously the book. The book's great on this area actually, because it steps you through that whole genius zone stuff as well. So Matt, to wrap up, anything else before we lead into part 3 of the book, which is the next show? Anything you just want, any concluding points on this part of the book?
One thing that the tool asks as you go through is there a system for the task? And often when I'm working with clients and they start saying no all the time, it starts getting them down, or they start thinking that they'll never get it off their list. Be okay with that, because bringing in a strong virtual assistant that understands that's the lay of the land, and that part of their role is to help you build the systems. And as long as you're clear on that and you're patient with them about that, you can still move to the next stage of stop doing all of these tasks. It's just going to take you a little bit more time.
Yeah, and like we talked about before, sometimes people, when they get a VA, we often find like they want to hit the ground running on day one. And we sort of go, even if we were to give you even if I was to give someone off my team, highly experienced, knows exactly what to do, get in there, it would still take 2 to 3 months, because it's a new business. All the IP is usually in the head of the business owner. So that takes time to get through that little hump, but you'll fly after that. So it's investing that time and energy in order to move forward faster later rather than tomorrow. That's a mindset thing, of course, too.
Absolutely. So, it's taking the time, and it's that what you were saying earlier, Bob, slowing down to speed up, and actually doing the work here to give you the clarity on whether you're ready to stop doing or not, and also, preparing to be able to then work with a virtual assistant from Virtual Angel Hub, or someone from within your existing team, to start to delegate and move these tasks to them.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, that brings us on to the next show that we're going to do, which is probably, all of these parts are really critical, but the interesting one about the next part of this series is actually how to stop doing, because so many people, and I see this all the time, clients will come in and be like, but I did everything you told me to do, and we built the systems, we've got the processes, we've put everything down, and they're still struggling. And it's because of that, they haven't figured out this final piece, which is so important, is the how to stop doing, because there is actually a whole process for that as well. So we're going to delve into that in the next show as the final piece of the book.
Absolutely, yep. And I'm going to step you all through exactly how to stop doing and what's holding you back from getting others to do these tasks for you. So please be sure to tune into the next show. But also, please feel free to give us we'd love your ratings and comments about the show. We've also got a private Facebook group, so join the conversation with us, and we'd love to hear more about what would you like us to talk about on this show. This show is about you. We want to give real life experiences and help you succeed with your virtual team. So we'd love your input, love your feedback. And until next time, Bub, thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this 3-part series, and looking forward to the next part.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Me too. See you guys.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Virtual Success Show. If you found this show helpful, take a moment to share it with a friend so that we can all grow together. Find out more about the inside scoop on outsourcing success by going to our website, virtualsuccessshow.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.